Hey, how's it going? Ezekiel the Barber, back with more barber content for you. Thank you all for tuning in. I have some really good information for you all today. Today we're going to talk about guards and some of my favorite clippers. I've been a barber for going on about 10 years now. And these are some of my favorite clippers that I found to be really effective in the barber shop, really good at what they do. I like the Andis cordless clipper because it has those notches right there. We'll go over that a little bit later. And then I also like the Oster Octane. Reminds me of the old school 76er clippers. So definitely two of my favorite. And then we also have the Oster Topaz clipper to the left. On the right, we have the Wall Senior. Now all these clippers have that same lever that you see here, little lever action. Once again, I like the Andis because they do keep those notches there. Makes it easier for you to go back to whatever desired length you're looking for. All right, put that guard back there. All right, so back to the Andis cordless clipper. Let's just kind of cover what I like about that really quick. Be sure to like and subscribe if you get some good information. But we have these notches here. That notch all the way open, that's a number 1. If I close that notch all the way to the right, it's basically gonna give me the equivalent to that 000, the 3 zeros you see there, that's that length. If it were a metal guard. Now if I open that lever all the way up, it's basically the equivalent to this number 1 that you see here. So whether it's a metal or this cordless Andis, you can always get a number 1, either of course with the metal guard or just by opening that lever all the way up. Okay, cool. So now you see I have this OA and then I have that notch halfway open. So this halfway point basically is the equivalent to an OA, or what they call a half. So if someone wanted a half, that's the same thing as an OA. So there's a little barber terminology for you. Okay, so they're pretty similar in the way that they look. So if you ever needed to get to that half with the clipper or an Andis clipper, you basically have that notch. Now a lot of other clippers don't really apply the same way that the Andis kind of has it logged in, so they did a really good job. But that clipper all the way closed gives you that triple. Now I have that 000 in the black and the silver. You can see there. So this is all the same thing. That lever all the way closed, that black or that silver guard, 000. As long as it says 000, it's all the same. So if I open that lever halfway, once again, it's a half. If I open that lever all the way once again, it's a number 1. And the Andis clipper is really the only clipper that's really logged in for that triple. If you open it halfway, you get a half. Those are the steps there. So you have that triple, the OA, and the number 1 all in one clipper with the Andis cordless clipper or the Andis Masters in general. So that's what people do love about that clipper. It allows you to get back to whatever length you were looking for really easy. Now let's say if we have this 0 guard on. Now if I put this 0 guard on and I close that lever all the way up, that's basically a half. That same thing as that OA that we were talking about. It's very similar in length. Though the OA that's the metal is probably gonna give you a more cleaner, more true half. That's what I do love about the metal guards. It's pretty much gonna give you whatever desired length they're looking for, the cleanest, true guidelines that you can have. Now, of course, they're just a metal, so they don't have a lever. There's not gonna be any fade action. But in terms of setting really clean guidelines, I love the metals. Now, if you're really nice with the wrist action, you can do some fading. We'll save that for another video. All right. So basically, if I have that number 1 guard on and I close that lever all the way up, it's gonna give me a true 1. So once again, if I have that lever all the way closed, there's that 000. But if I put that guard on there from the 000, I can get whatever desired length that I'm looking for with the guards. So if I'm looking for a number 2 on the side, or a number 2 in general, then this is what I'll basically use. The thing about the Andis is they have the older number 2, which is on the right, and then they have a newer number 2 guard, which is on the left. It seems to me like they're basically 2 different lengths, so that's why I do have 2 of the number 2s there. And it seems like the steps that I have them in is kind of how it goes. So you see the 0, the 1, and then the flat 2, and then you have the 2, 3, and the 4, and then here's the 4 here. It seems to me like that number 2, the newer number 2, is just a higher length than the flatter number 2 that they initially had. Alright, so next up we have the Oster Topaz clipper. This is a very similar clipper to the Oster Fast Feed. In general, just a great overall clipper. It's very quiet, very strong. You can't really stop that blade at all. And I like the fact that you could also use the Andis Masters guards right on this clipper. And it works in the same similar fashion as it does with the Andis. So it has the lever. Pretty much everything works seamlessly. Everything's just plug and play. Pop those Andis guards right onto the Oster Topaz clipper, and you're ready to get to work. Really good clipper in general. Very quiet, very durable. Just a really good clipper. Now the Andis Masters cordless clipper, great clipper as well. It's just a really loud clipper. So whenever I'm cutting, the kids up, I always like to go to something that's quiet, that's not really gonna startle or rattle them in any way. So you always have to kind of keep that in mind whenever cutting children. But overall, both of these clippers are excellent, especially at fading, durability. Probably my go-to would have to be this Wall Senior for the fact that it does just about everything that I need it to do. I mean, this clipper can really bald out. We can get to a half just like the OA, so there's that 0.5. And in this case, you see it's a Babylus Pro guard. But I'm also able to use that interchangeable on this wall clipper, even though Babylus is a Conair clipper pretty much. But I love the fact that they make these guards interchangeable. I actually look for clippers that are classics, that have interchangeable guards to put in my arsenal, because it makes my job that much easier. Now, one thing about the half guards for the wall clippers, there's pretty much, the one on the right is the wall guard half. The one on the left is the Babylus 0.5, which is the same thing as a half. It's just their version. So both of these are half guards. For some reason, I like finishing fades with the wall guard. It's just a really good buffering guard to me to really buff out that fade and finish that fade. Though this half for the Babylus, I like to use that more for setting my half guideline. Right, so we have the half with the guards. Here's the half, which is the OA with the metal. If we wanted to use that number 1 guard, of course, we always have that number 1 metal. Now, in terms of fading, all of these guards are interchangeable. I mean, let's say if I needed this number 1 metal and I wanted to even use this number 1 ceramic, or even use the number 1 guard for the clipper, it's still gonna give me a very close and similar length to what a number 1 is, whatever your client's asking for. Now, of course, if you use any metals, you're gonna need some type of clipper that supports the metals, such as the Oster Octane or classic 76ers. Now, if you have a client looking for a 1.5, you see we have the Wall Senior clipper, but we have the Babylus Pro guards, so we just put that 1.5 right onto the clipper. And let's say you just have the metals, then you have the 1.5 there. Now, if I had a client looking for a number 2, I would just put the 2 guard on, close that lever all the way up. That's a true number 2. Now, in my opinion, the metal guards give you the most true lengths that you can get. So if you're looking for a 000, of course you would just put that 000 on. If you're looking for a number 2, you would put the number 2 on. Let's say if someone was looking for a half, of course you would put this OA on. Now, the only downside to the metals is basically the fact that it has no lever. So unless you have really good wrist action, you're not going to be able to insinuate something that looks like it's fading. But don't worry, most people just go to a clipper that has the lever and just basically they go over those steps that I covered with you earlier. It's basically whatever length you're looking for, okay? So in this case, I have that 000 on. What I like about this is the fact that I could put the Andis Master Guards on. So if I use that 000, now what I like is the Andis Masters with the 1 magnet, I noticed sticks a lot better than the 2 magnet for some reason. So even though it's the same number 2, it's a lot more snug, a lot better fit with the single magnet with that triple. It's not gonna come off there. Now, for some reason, the one with the 2 magnets, it just doesn't seem to hold as well as the guards with the 1 magnet. Now with the 000, you're gonna get that true length. So if you're looking for a 2 or a 3 on the side, a 3 in this case, with that 000, it's gonna give you that true length. So it's a real easy way to get some hair off, set a good palette for yourself, and then go into the fade. Right. So let's say in this case, somebody wanted a 1 on the side. It would make sense to just take that 2 or a 3. Let's say they haven't had a haircut in months. You can just put that 000 on or one of these guards and get most of that hair off to set a really clean palette on the side, and then eventually go right into your fade. I like to kind of use that approach just to get cleaner haircuts. This is pretty much what you might call my starting lineup. So that would be the starting lineup right there. Back to my top 2. The Wall Senior, Andis Masters. I mean, these are classic clippers right here. Once again, I love the Andis Masters because it has those dials right there, so you can go back to gauge whatever length you need. We've explained that already. 000, the half, as well as the 1, and in between lengths as well. And when I'm fading, let's say I start with that 000, I like to go about 1/8 of an inch up. So these are pretty much, you know, depending on what I'm doing. Let's say if I'm doing a taper, it'd be something like that. So you're not going up too far. And that's where that fade kind of comes in. As you go up a little bit higher, that lever comes a little bit further open. All right? So, and that's basically how you fade. A little information for you there. So once again, the starting lineup, oh, gotta add those 2. Yeah, those 2 are very special. The Andis cordless, I have the T-edger blade and the T-liner blade. So definitely great clippers in my opinion. I definitely plan on having more information available for you all in regards to how to zero gap your clippers. Just general information about clippers and my review on clippers. What I like about clippers, what I don't like about clippers. All right, well, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.